If you don't have a well-optimized browse abandonment flow for your ecom brand, you're absolutely bleeding revenue as we speak. Simply because with this one flow, you can convert up to 10% of all your window shoppers that are already browsing your products every single day. I've been able to help over 75 e-commerce brands recover up to $10 million in browse abandonment sales. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact sequence that's going to turn your browsers into buyers. We're going to look at what the browse abandonment flow actually is, what emails you should be sending, how many emails you should be sending, and the content within them. And if you really want to fast track how well you improve your browse abandonment flow, I've got a free guide in the description that goes into way more depth than I can fit in this video. And it comes with 3 free bonuses. Number 1, a 100 browse abandonment email swipe file that I personally curated with some of the best browse abandonment emails in the D2C space. Number 2, ready to go Figma templates that you can use to create your brand new browse abandonment flow. These are going to include all the sections that you might want for the perfect browse abandonment flow. And number 3, a custom ChatGPT that will write out your brand's perfect browse abandonment flow in literally seconds. If you want to claim all that and even more, just go get it for free in the description below. And now let's get back to the video. So the first thing we want to discuss is what actually is a browse abandonment flow. A browse abandonment flow is when someone views a product on your site and then abandons and doesn't take any further action. This would then trigger the browse abandonment flow, which should nurture your customer and educate them more about your brand and the products that they viewed. These visitors who just browse are fundamentally different than the more commonly known cart abandoners. When someone abandons a cart, they have way higher buying intent. They found a product that they like, added it to cart, and started the buying process. These are basically hot leads. Browse abandoners, on the other hand, are much cooler leads. They've shown interest in a particular product, but they're still in research mode. Let me walk you through what's going through your customers' heads when they view your products. For this example, let's just look at Athletic Greens, a brand that we all know. So let's just say someone goes to the Athletic Greens site, they go and actually view the product. They get to the PDP and think, this product actually looks pretty good. I've seen tons of influencers talking about it. What's all the hype about? But 99 bucks for 30-day supply? That's kind of steep. Is there going to be any real difference between this and the multivitamin I'm already taking? Am I actually going to feel the benefits if I use it? What if I don't like the taste? Is this going to be better than other supplement brands I'm getting ads for? And then ultimately that customer leaves the site because they aren't sold on the product yet. Here's one of the biggest differences between the browse abandonment flow and the cart abandonment flow. The browse abandonment flow is when someone isn't sold on the product versus the cart abandonment flow is when someone is sold on the product but they're not sold on making that purchase. So what we need to do in this flow is educate the customer about the product that they just viewed and about your brand so they feel comfortable and actually want to make that purchase. So when we're crafting our browse abandonment flow, we want to keep these things in mind. Number 1, we want to build trust. Most of the time, these site visitors are coming from paid ads and they don't know your brand from a hole in the wall. We need to build trust with your site visitors so they feel comfortable about placing their first order with your brand. Number 2, we want to provide more product information about the product that they just looked at. More often than not, it's probably going to be your hero product, so we're going to tailor that flow towards it. Number 3, we want to address common objections. So just going back to the Athletic Greens example, we can see on their website the FAQs that a customer might have, and these are going to be perfect for the browse abandonment flow. For example, what actually is AG1? What does it taste like? What ingredients are in AG1? What if you don't feel the difference? What benefits can I expect? You can kind of see where I'm going here about addressing common objections. You also want to make sure that you're gradually increasing urgency throughout the flow. And finally, you also want to use incentives in the flow so you can maximize the number of orders that you're recovering while maintaining a high profitability with those orders. Now let's go ahead and actually see how we're going to structure each of the emails in your flow to make sure that you're getting the most amount of these window shoppers to actually make a purchase. So a lot of people ask me, how long should my browse abandonment flow be? As Klaviyo normally sets it to only 1 email by default. I'd recommend no more or no less than 5 emails in your flow. And I'll tell you when to actually make it shorter and a little bit longer later in this video. But for now, we're going to stick with these 5 emails. Starting off with the first email, we're going to keep it super short and super to the point. We just want to remind them of the product that they just viewed. Oftentimes, just a little nudge, a little bit after they browse your site, is just enough to get them back on the site and get them viewing the product again to potentially make that purchase. So all we want to do here is just to showcase the product that they viewed with a dynamic product block and potentially even recommend some other products that they might be interested in based on the product that they just viewed. Keep this email very short and to the point. We found it's just most effective across over 75 brands just to keep it simple like this. Later on in the flow, we're going to get into more detail in terms of the content to include in your flow. Next, moving on to email 2, we want to focus on product education. Like I mentioned, people who are just browsing products on your website likely don't know all the reasons why they should buy your product. They're still going to be relatively unfamiliar with the product benefits at this point. So in this email, we want to just showcase some of the benefits of buying your product. So for Athletic Greens, for example, some of their main benefits are number 1, as they call it, the daily habit that supports your whole body health. So basically what they're saying is in one scoop, you're going to get a multivitamin, a multimineral, a probiotic, adaptogens, and more, which is just a very convenient way to get all the benefits you need for your health. Number 2, they focus on energy and mental performance, and this is from the use of some of their ingredients like B vitamins and adaptogens. Third benefit, gut health with prebiotics and probiotics. And fourth, trusted quality and transparency because they're very open about their test trials and they're trusted by millions of customers. Those benefits basically give you the gist of the product, and that would be great to include in your second browse abandonment email for Athletic Greens. And also in email number 2, I want you to add your first incentive, which can be something as simple as 10% off to encourage your customer to actually take action and make that purchase. The reason why we want to do this in email number 2 is because people don't have the highest buying intent when they're just browsing. And we found across testing this over 75 brands that just including the initial incentive in email number 2 is going to maximize the amount of orders from your flow while maintaining high profitability as well. Obviously, just take what I'm saying and tailor it towards your own brand. Now onto the third email, we like to focus on addressing common objections. So like I said before, some of the FAQs that someone shopping Athletic Greens might have are, what are the ingredients? What does it taste like? Why is this better than my normal multivitamin that's like 10 times cheaper? And so the list goes on. So for you at home watching this, just choose your own FAQs that are most relevant towards your brand's products. Next, we want to move on to email number 4. And in email number 4, we want to focus on social proof. So someone who's just window shopping that came from cold traffic likely isn't going to trust your brand all that much. So we need to shower them with social proof in this email so they can go ahead and feel comfortable about making a purchase. Now, I'm not going to box you in and say you can only show social proof with reviews. There are thousands of different types of social proof, and the most effective one for your brand is going to be whatever the strongest form of social proof is for your brand. For example, if you're like Athletic Greens and you have 50,000 5-star reviews, most brands cannot compete with that. So including that in their email just by saying over 50,000 5-star reviews is going to be a great place to start for them. Let's just say your brand has a very good review rating. You have a 4.9 star like one of our clients here. That's going to be great to include in their email about social proof. Let's say another brand might have a celebrity that really loves their products. For example, for one of our clients, Oprah really loves their product, so we can even feature trusted by celebrities like Oprah and a couple other celebrities that love their brand. Or if your brand went viral on TikTok, go ahead and show that in your browse abandonment email for social proof. There are so many other ways to incorporate social proof in your emails, and I can't fit them all in this video, so I'm just going to throw a cheat sheet up on screen now that you can use and see which ones are the most relevant for your brand. These aren't also mutually exclusive, so you can incorporate more than one in your email, and that would make it even more effective. For brands just starting out, incorporating 3 simple reviews in your email will be a good place to start. Also, in email number 4, you want to add a little bit more urgency saying your discount is about to expire or something along those lines. And then once you do, now you're going to be ready for email number 5. Email number 5 is going to be a very simple email. What we want to focus on here is number 1, their expiring discount. You want to say it's going to expire in the next 24 hours or something like that. Number 2, it would be great if you included some sort of risk reversal in the email. So even if the customer does try it, they're not obligated to keep it, like they're not at a loss. So incorporating a block in your email that might say, try it risk-free with company names guarantee. Those tend to work really well. You can showcase them other products that they might be interested in based on what they viewed, or just showcase other bestsellers. And if you can implement all those 5 browse abandonment emails like that for your brand, you can expect to recover at least 3 to 5% of people who are going through this flow to actually make a purchase. Okay, so those are all the emails that you want to include in your browse abandonment flow. So now let's look at some of the results that you can expect when you have all these set up correctly. The main metric that you want to account for in your browse abandonment flow is your combined placed order rate. So this is when you're tracking the percentage of people who purchase from the flow divided by the total number of people who enter the flow. In general, you want to convert at least 3 to 7% of people who enter the flow. I know I gave a wide range, but honestly, it's going to depend on your industry, so I can't give an exact measure in terms of exactly how many people you should convert from the flow. A few other key metrics that you want to track are going to be your placed order rate from the first email, which should be give or take 1%. This is going to be your highest revenue generating email in the entire flow, so you want to make sure that the placed order rate is pretty good. Besides that, as long as your open rates are high, let's say above 50%, then you're in good hands for the flow. In terms of the metrics for the other emails in the flow, you want to look at them at an individual basis in terms of how much revenue that the emails are actually generating. For example, if your brand is seeing very low revenue on email number 5 and it's not really worth it for you, you can cut that email out of the sequence and just keep 4 emails instead. Alternatively, if you're seeing strong revenue from email number 5 in your browse abandonment flow, you might want to add a 6th email into the flow, which is just going to recover more revenue for your brand on autopilot with 0 additional ad spend. We did this for one of our brands, and we added like $5,000 a month in recovered revenue by adding a 6th email. This took maybe an extra half an hour of work and will recover about $50,000 in additional revenue for the brand by the end of the year. So those are the main things that you want to look for when tracking your metrics for your browse abandonment flow. Now let's jump into Figma and look at a real example of a browse abandonment flow built for a brand that that you probably know. Real quick before I show you the email designs, if you're serious about improving your browse abandonment flow, I've got a free guide that goes into way more detail than I can fit in this video, and it comes with 3 free bonuses. Number 1, a 100 browse abandonment email swipe file that I personally curated with some of the best browse abandonment emails in the e-com space. Number 2, ready to go plug and play Figma templates that you can use for your browse abandonment flow. I'm serious. You can literally just copy and paste these templates and use them for your browse abandonment flow, and you're going to create it so much faster. And finally, number 3, a custom GPT that will write your brand new browse abandonment flow for your brand within seconds using the frameworks that I'm talking about in this video. If you want all of those for free, you can go claim them in the description below. They're going to help you, trust me with that. Now let's jump into Figma. Okay, so now we're in Figma, and now we're going to look at this sample browse abandonment flow that my team prepared for this video with a brand that you probably know, Aloe. We're going to dive into each email and explain why we included the parts that we did. Okay, so first we're looking at email number 1. And as I discussed before, email number 1 should be short, sweet, and to the point, and not have too much else in the email. And that's exactly what we did here in this email that we built for Aloe. So as you can see at the top, it says still thinking about product name. It's just an easy way to personalize it. And then we have a vertical dynamic product block, just showing the product that they looked at. So what this will actually look like if it was in Klaviyo is something like this. We'll throw an example on screen. We have a very simple CTA for them to go and check it out, some body copy just to beef up the email, and another CTA at the bottom. If you're wondering what this is over here, it would be like a GIF, and it would rotate, just showcasing some simple things about the brand. So here you might include free shipping, free returns, maybe your product benefits, or something like that. And then for the footer, it's just relatively basic. We have a few product shots over here and then some social icons over here as well. There's not too much going on in this email, and that's exactly what we want, as this is often just enough to get people back on the site and start shopping their products again. Now we're on email number 2, and we want to shift our focus to the product benefits. So we have that over here, what sets Aloe apart. Now we could have beefed up this section a lot more. We could have included perhaps a zigzag pattern, which showcased different benefits, like this example I'm throwing up on screen, or even include an infographic. That would have worked well too. We're not going to forget that we're also introducing the offer at the top of the email, as that's going to be a huge conversion driver for a lot of the people who are viewing this email. Now we're moving on to email number 3, and this is where we're going to educate your customer on some basic things about your brand. So for this example, we can frame it like this: your questions answered, and then have some basic information about the brand in here as well. For example, if it's not the perfect fit, you can get easy returns and exchanges. What sets Aloe apart? Obviously their premium fabric, timeless design, and thousands of 5-star reviews. And then finally over here, how it wears. And once again, at the top of the email, not forgetting to include the offer, as well as the dynamic product block right at the top. A common theme you'll see in these emails is that we're not including like a banner image at the top of the email over here. We're getting straight into showing the customer what they viewed. This is really important because we want to lead with what they were interested in the first place. Think about it. These people browsed your entire site and found this product and clicked on it. What better way to get someone interested in the email than to show them that product? Email number 4 is going to be the social proof email. So this is why customers should trust you when they're browsing products on your site. So if we're looking at it at the top of the email over here, we have this headline that says 4.9 stars from over 1 million customers. So once again, that's just one form of social proof. We're including another form of social proof in this email by showcasing different customer photos. Moving on, we have the vertical dynamic product block, which is going to show the customer what product they viewed. Now we have some reviews. And finally, since it's on the 4th email and they still haven't purchased, we're okay showcasing them more products that they might be interested in, because they're still in the browsing stage. They haven't found exactly what they want, so we're going to give them some more options. For here, I would recommend showcasing bestsellers or products that are similar to the one that they looked at. And here is email number 5, and at the top, you can see we're getting straight into the offer. We want to provide urgency and say it's the last time you're going to be able to save 10%. We have the vertical dynamic product block right at the top of the email as well. Here's where the risk reversal part comes into play. We are having free shipping over $150, free and easy returns, and we're saying that Aloe is worn by over 1 million customers. And obviously, if they get to the 5th email, they may not be sold on that product yet. We're going to show them some more bestsellers that they might be interested in as well. So that is a sample browse abandonment flow at a glance. Now let's go into Klaviyo and show you how to set this all up. Okay, so now that we're in Klaviyo, let's set up this browse abandonment flow from scratch. So I'm in a dummy account right now, and I'm just going to go down to integrations over here. Once I'm in integrations, I'm just going to click Shopify. I'm assuming that's your e-commerce platform. Okay, so now once you click Shopify, you want to go over here and make sure under on-site tracking that add viewed product tracking to my site is checked. Once that's good, you'll be able to track browse events on your website. Now what I want you to do is go over to flows over here, and then you want to go and click create flow. Over here, you're going to see it. It's the first one that's shown here, browse abandoned standard. There's a few other options here that you can see that come with pre-built conditions depending on how you want to build the flow. But for the sake of this example, let's just build a normal browse abandoned flow for now. Over here, I just like to simplify the name, so I get rid of all of this over here. I would typically put GP in front of it because that's my agency's name. And then just because I'm in a dummy Klaviyo account, it's showing these warning signs over here. Instead, for yours, you want it to show check marks instead. So I'm going to click use template, go into the flow. So what I'm going to do first is just delete everything in this flow and just start from scratch. So I'm just going to get rid of this, but I'm going to keep email 1 here just for the time being, and I'll show you why after. So I'm going to grab another email. I'm going to put it in here, rename it to email number 1, and then I'm going to insert the first time delay just before the email. And then I'm going to set this to anything that's below 2 hours. My personal preference is to do about an hour. So you can do it something like that. For example, I can put it to 1 hour or maybe even 30 minutes. Next, we want the following email firing after about 6 hours. So I'm going to slot that in over here. Next, for the second email, we're going to make it 1 day after the first email over here. So customers are going to get it relatively around the same time as when they were browsing that product. For email number 3, once again, we want to do 1 day afterwards. And then for emails number 4 and 5, we want a 2-day time delay on each. So I'm just going to insert that now. So then your flow structure should look something like this. And afterwards, you just delete this email at the top. The next thing I want to do is make sure that Smart Send is turned off on all these emails. So what Smart Send is this setting over here. So it's going to skip recently emailed profiles in the last 24 hours. So just to elaborate on what this means, let's say your brand sends out a Black Friday email campaign. A customer sees it and is like, oh, I want to shop. Then they go to your website and start browsing some products. They don't buy anything yet. So that's why we have this browse abandonment flow that's going to go and send them an email showing them all the benefits of your products, why they should shop, etc., etc. But that customer is not going to get this browse abandonment email if your Smart Send is on over here, because they would have got the Black Friday email and then this browse abandonment email within the same 24-hour window. If you have the setting on, it's going to disable that second message from receiving your customer within that 24-hour window that I just mentioned. So just do yourself a favor and just turn it off. So I'm going to make sure I'm doing this for all of the emails in the flow over here. Okay, great. Now that that's done, let's look at the filters for who can actually enter this flow. If you just click over here where it says trigger, you'll be able to see the filters for the flow. So Klaviyo natively has both trigger and profile filters. So you can determine filters based on the event that happened. For example, someone browsing, or based on who viewed it. These profile filters are good. I'm just going to add one more, and that's going to be this over here, and has added to cart 0 times since starting this flow. So what these are going to do is this. If someone takes any further action than browsing a product, so the next step would be adding a product to their cart, they're not going to qualify for this flow. Reason why we have this set up is because we don't want someone who abandoned a cart to get both the abandoned cart flow and the browse abandonment flow. Same thing goes with the checkout started trigger over here. If someone starts a checkout, they should only get the abandoned checkout flow. If someone places an order, they should only get the post-purchase flow. And that's what these are doing here. And this filter over here has not been in the flow in the last 30 days. It's going to prevent people from receiving the same flow twice. If they browse products, let's say today and then next week, we don't want the flow to get too repetitive for them. So now that we have that set up, I've included the SMS in here as well. So I just had it as a 30-minute delay after the first email. Then they're going to get the SMS message, and then afterwards, they continue getting emails after that. And for SMS, we're also not going to forget to turn off smart sending. So I'm going to turn this off over here. And you want to make sure that SMS quiet hours is turned on. Basically, what this is going to do is prevent people from receiving an SMS during times where they shouldn't be receiving one. Let's say before 8 a.m. and after 11 p.m. at night. So you want to make sure that this is toggled on. And that's pretty much going to be it. The last thing that we have over here is browse abandonment email number 1. The default one that they set up in Klaviyo. And the reason why I've been saving it here is because of this. When you open up the email, it's going to have a pre-built dynamic product block that will showcase the product that the customer left behind. You're going to need this in your emails, like I mentioned before in the Aloe example, to show the customer what products that they were actually looking at. The easiest way to do this is just to save it like this. I'm going to save it as a block. So GP browse abandonment dynamic product block. And then I would just save it. And then you can start dragging this into the new emails that you built for the brand. And then once you do that, it's going to save under universal blocks over here, and you can drag it into each of your browse abandonment blocks, and it's going to be pre-built and way easier for you to set up. Alternatively, what we do for all our clients is a vertical dynamic product block, which shows the product above the product name. And we just like to do this because 1, it's way more aesthetic in the email, and 2, as a customer, it's more inviting versus just getting a standard browse abandonment email or a standard abandoned cart email that looks like some regular template. If you want to set that up, I have a link in the description below that'll send you to a Klaviyo article which shows you exactly how to set it up. So once you have that done, just go ahead and delete this from the flow. And now you're good. That's how you set it up in Klaviyo. Okay, great. Now you have your basic browse abandonment flow set up. Now let's look at some of the advanced tactics that you can implement to take this flow from good to great. The first advanced thing that you can do for your browse abandonment flow is to segment the people who enter the flow based on their purchase history. So the simplest way to do this is to segment your non-buyers versus your buyers. The reason why we do this is because they're two totally different types of customers. One who actually knows your product and has experienced it before versus people who don't really know much about your product and obviously haven't tried them. And obviously you want to have different messaging for the different paths in your flow. For non-buyers, you might want to focus your messaging on building trust with social proof, emphasizing guarantees, returns, free shipping, whatever it might be, and actually educating about your brand and your product benefits. Plus, you probably want to incentivize your first-time customers to place an order with a bigger discount. Versus existing customers, you probably don't need to give the biggest discount as they already know your product is great and they don't need that much of an incentive. You also probably don't need to go through all the basic information about your brand, like why they should shop with you, who you are, etc., because they already know. Instead, you can focus on talking about the product that they're currently looking at. If it's the same product that they had before, you might say back for more ? And you might have products underneath for recommendations with a headline that might say looking to pair it with something, here's what it goes great with. Or if the existing customer is looking at a new product they haven't purchased before, you can say something like looking to try something new ? And then have benefits of that specific product underneath. These are just some ideas of how you can segment your browse abandonment flow based on your customer's purchase history. The next way you can segment your flow is based on categories. For example, let's say your brand has very distinct product categories. Maybe you sell recovery gear and then you sell supplements as well. Both recovery gear and supplements are very different from each other, and we can't be super effective with our messaging if it's just super general and it applies to both categories. Instead, you can segment your browse abandonment flow based on the category that they looked at. So you can have one version of the email that's relevant for recovery gear and another version of a browse abandonment email that's relevant for supplements. This is going to be more effective, and it's also going to be more relevant to your customer rather than receiving just a bland browse abandonment email that can apply to both things. Next, something else I want to talk about are third-party apps that allow you to retarget more people in your browse abandonment flow. You see, not everyone who actually browses a product on your website is going to be able to enter your browse abandonment flow. The reason is because not a lot of people are actually going to be on your email list and are going to qualify to receive the browse abandonment emails. So a great way to circumvent this issue and get more people into your browse abandonment flow is to use a third-party app like retention.com, Black Crow, or even Triple Whale's new Sonar Pixel. They all work a little bit differently, but I'll just give you the example of retention.com, one of the bigger ones in D2C ecom. And basically what they will do is capture more emails of the people who are browsing products on your website and enroll them in Klaviyo in your browse abandonment flow. Now, some brands love doing this because it does add a ton of extra revenue. For example, one brand we did this for added like $50K a month in additional sales, but not everyone likes the idea of an app like this. I'm just here to provide you with ideas so you can see what works best for your brand. When we've implemented apps like retention.com in the past before for our clients, we've seen at least a 10 to 30% lift in browse abandonment flow revenue by setting this up. The next advanced thing you can do is set up your meta ads integration within Klaviyo so you can retarget some of these browsers on Facebook and Instagram. To do this, just go in Klaviyo under integrations, and then you can set up your meta ad integration and then set up a campaign like that. Just like your browse abandonment flow, this is also going to help recover more revenue for your brand. That just about wraps up this video. If you enjoyed it and you got value, don't forget to claim your free guide in the description below. It will have everything you will ever need to learn about the browse abandonment flow and 3 free bonuses, including a 100 browse abandonment email swipe file personally created by me, ready to go Figma templates that you can use to design your new browse abandonment emails. And number 3, my personal favorite, is a custom GPT that will literally write your browse abandonment flow in seconds using all the knowledge that I talked about in this video. If you want to claim that, don't forget to go and check the description below. It's totally free to claim. Now, while the browse abandonment flow is super important and you absolutely need to get it right, there is one flow that is going to be a way bigger needle mover than this one. This same flow that I'm talking about has helped generate my clients over $25 million in email revenue. And that flow that I'm talking about is your welcome flow. If you haven't perfected your brand's welcome flow yet, I highly recommend you check out this video. It's going to tell you everything that you're going to need. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.